the newest addition to our Gateway network. First, a few housekeeping rules or items. Bathrooms are in the back right over here. And then after we're done here, we have cookies and refreshment over here in one of our community rooms. And for media, we'll be doing 2 tours immediately following this press conference, and we'll be staggering them. So the first one will be with media. So if you want to wait, there will be a second tour that's staggered a few minutes after that. So media will hold questions until those tours. But first, we'll go ahead and get started with Mayor Tim Keller.
All right, well, good afternoon, almost, I guess good morning still. But look, this is really in many ways a sight for sore eyes. Most importantly, for people suffering from addiction on our street. That's what this is all about. And we know that there's a whole range of individuals and challenges that they face that are unhoused. We also know that there are a lot of great nonprofits and people doing great work to try and help them. But we also know that there has never quite been a home like this for people who are transitioning from being unhoused, from the streets, into eventually things like housing. The question is, how do you connect those dots? And that's what this community is all about. Now, I want to begin by mentioning that this is, of course, essentially the opening of the Recovery Gateway. We want to be really clear. We wanted to do this before people were here, because when people are here, it's their home, and we want to respect their privacy. And so, on a one-off basis and so forth, there'll be people in and out of here, of course, but just to have a broader gathering. We did this a couple of weeks before we expect residents to move in on purpose. And so this is also the Gateway Recovery. It's part of the Gateway system. The Gateway system is something that we have spent years building to fill many gaps that Albuquerque has had for decades. Gaps like, where can people go on a 24/7 basis in the middle of the night when they need help that is not the emergency room or jail? And the answer is our 24/7 emergency drop-off at the Gateway Center out at Loveless. Where can people get medical respite? Where can people get help sobering, like literally before they would come to a place like this? Where can they go immediately from the street? That's what the sobering center is for. Housing navigation, where can they go to actually get placed in housing? Those are the things happening at the Gateway Center. We, of course, have the Gateway West, where 600 people are sheltered every night, and we're adding services there, and renovations are 80% complete. And then in the future, we're going to have the young adult gateway, which is an old hotel we're renovating just for folks who are young adults because they have their own needs. And then, of course, there's the family gateway, which is something that houses right now about 50 families every single night, and including children. And we help them get to school, we help them get back and forth, we help with daycare. It's also a renovated hotel. So just quickly, I'm mapping out the gateway system for you. And what this system is able to do is, in total, we're able to actually help about 1,000 people off the street each night. And that is compared to, on a 24/7 basis year-round, 0 from them and the county commissioners who pitched in. This is really a joint project, a one Albuquerque, Bernalillo County effort, and also our state legislators who helped out. And we also know that this is part of a broader system that our team at the city works on each and every day, our health, housing, and homelessness department, which is something we also didn't have 10 years ago. And thank goodness we've got them now so that they can put up facilities like this and run them. But running them day to day, we leave to an expert, right? The city doesn't actually do recovery work, and for good reason, because we're not experts in that. And so we are, with council's blessing, bringing in Endeavors is the name of the company, and we're going to hear from them about the work that they do each and every day to try and lift people out of addiction. And so for us, in the end, this is about, we can look at it whether it's 46 pallet homes or it's 46 people, and actually there's a couple of doubles, so it's roughly 50 people that when this opens, we're going to be able to help that we couldn't before. And we were able to do this in really under a year, as I mentioned. And so that's a credit to everyone who's involved, a team effort, and also to the need that we desperately have. But now we're going to be able to fulfill some of that need, meet some of that need because of this facility. So with that, let's hear all about this project. And I want to begin with a woman, a county commissioner, who stepped up when we asked for help, because these things also need funding. And so the county has been a generous partner on this project, and we really appreciate the leadership of County Commissioner Baca. Barbara, you want to come on up?
Thank you, Mayor Keller, and thank you for your leadership. And I'm so honored and happy to be here today. I usually do paper stuff, and I couldn't do that today, so excuse me if my phone goes kaflooey. I'm not in the modern world, but what we're here to celebrate, to me, is a really important next step to future investment in our homelessness crisis, our behavioral health and mental health issues that we have in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. And we all must do this together. And this is an example of that, moving forward with this gateway recovery. I want to thank the City of Albuquerque and all of our community partners who continue to show up for the people who need us most. Gateway recovery is a testament to what's possible when we collaborate. Bernalillo County is proud to support this project with $800,000 from our general fund, $910,000 from our capital outlay. And as we know, we'll talk more about some of the opioid funding that went into this, and the city, of course. And I want to give a shout out to my colleague, Joaquin Baca, the partnership between the city council and the county commission, and my predecessor, now Senator Debbie O'Malley, who was really a big part of this when she was on the county commission in this partnership. We continue to support the Gateway idea. We've put in $3 million to expand the Housing Navigation Center at the Gateway Center on Gibson, and $1 million to support the city's acquisition and renovation of that same facility. So we are here for the long haul. We are here for this partnership, and we can only do it. I again want to stress the importance of the partnership between the state and the city and the county. Transitional housing here with the wraparound services are a critical piece of this response to both homelessness and behavioral health. And I just want to thank once again for this commitment and this long-term solution that we must seek as a community. So thank you, Mayor Keller, for allowing me to speak, and I really appreciate you all.
Nice, thanks. Thanks so much. And let's see, as has been mentioned, there's a lot of folks involved in this, and we actually know this is City Councilor Joaquin Baca's district, and he really stepped up to champion this project. And we also have City Councilor Champagne here too, so I just want to echo our gratitude and give them a round of applause. Now, I will tell you where this idea came from. You know, once upon a time, we had a gentleman at the mayor's office named Eric Griego, and so a lot of folks know former Senator and City Councilor Eric Griego. And he said, we need to fix our housing code like we've never done before. And I said, let's do it. And it took us maybe 3 years, but we did that. But following him, the next sort of shoe to drop was now Senator O'Malley, former city councilor and former county commissioner. And I think in many ways, her legacy at the city of Albuquerque is this. As part of the discussion coming after we were talking about housing, she was the one who highlighted the need for different kinds of housing, and especially transitional housing. And I know these are sort of vocabulary words that we throw around. Experts know what these words mean, but the bottom line is what she recognized is that not everyone can go directly to a house, especially if you're suffering from certain challenges, be it mental or behavioral health. And she also, I think, saw around the country, but also up in Santa Fe, things we could do really fast. and also relatively inexpensive, like a high return on investment, because she has a background a little bit in real estate development. And so she was like, hey, why don't we do a pallet home community? And we happen to have simultaneously acquired this land from the state. And so we put those two things together, and by the time she had her first legislative session wrapped up, we've got this done. So let's bring up now Senator, former Associate Chief of Staff, Debbie O'Malley.
Thank you, Mayor Keller, for your very kind words. I remember when I did, we were talking a little bit about that. I remember when I first proposed it to the mayor and his team. And of course, they had to think about it a little bit, but that the mayor did give the green light, and that was key, right? Moving this project forward. Of course, the issue was site. Not always easy to locate, as you can imagine, something like this, and that's always the challenge. I mean, ideally, we should have these kinds of little villages all throughout the city, but of course, people object to that, and so and the mayor has put himself out there a few times when it comes to safe spaces. He really advocated for that, but of course, there was a lot of pushback from the community. So of course, this is a big upgrade from tents. These are very stable units. They're going to, go through, and it's going to be cold and hot, and they are self-contained. I mean, they have all the systems. They're like plug-in units almost. So this is great. So of course, once we decide, that we got the green light there, it's like, yeah, the site and also money. How are we going to get the funding to construct that? And so I must admit, I don't have a problem going out fighting money. I shouldn't say that, but I'm very direct about it. It's like, we need money. Let's go find it. And so I really want to, give my thanks to some legislators who put in money. This was at the last session, and we have, and I think we wrote them down somewhere. Now I haven't figured out where. Oh, so we have Javier Benavides, who's the speaker, former state senator Martinez, Javier Martinez, and I keep confusing those two. We know both of them, yes, exactly. Former state senator Bill O'Neill, former state senator Brenda McKenna, and then also Senator Pro Tem Mimi Stewart, and actually got some money from Representative Bill Ream, which was really cool. This was about $1.7 million. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much was put in. City was responsible for the infrastructure to get these units going. But as the mayor said, it really matters for people to have a space of their own, whether they're just, not having issues with mental health, but it's a lock on the door. And it's a private space. And so I think that's really important to have, especially for women, that they have a safe place that they can go to. And then, there's no issues when it comes to weather or something like this. And then this idea of this community space, right? Having places for people to gather, safe places, and also all the wraparound services. So this, as the mayor said, this happened fairly quickly compared to other projects. And so thank you, Mayor, for getting this through the whole system. I can see other folks involved, Pat Matoya, who was very involved in the construction, and also Gilbert. Took a lot, but that was that. They always say, what is it, to get something done, it's 99% intention, 1% technical knowledge. And so I think this is a good example of that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Senator. And now, speaking of city staff, there are all sorts of people who work hard in this space each and every day. And some of them are here too. I just want to give some additional shout outs. Also, Senator Pope, thanks for joining us back there. Also, we have our nothing gets built in the city without Jennifer Turner. So she is our Director of Public Works. And behind the scenes pusher of all projects, Charlie Salas Ramos is here, our Deputy COO. Give her a round of applause too. And we mentioned Pat Montoya, her boss, our COO. And I think I saw our CAO float by. Is Samantha hiding somewhere? She's like actually checking on stuff, but which is classic CAO Samantha. So, but it's her birthday tomorrow. So if you see her, surprise her and tell her happy birthday. Oh, that she heard me. So that does bring me to, at the city, there's obviously departments that do things, and the department in charge of this is Housing, Health, and Homelessness. And we're fortunate to have now a longtime director with his own social work background at the helm. And so let's bring up Gilbert Ramirez.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. And I'm just really humbled and privileged to be able to be a part of this project. I know there's some recognitions in the crowd. There's so many people who are here, so I want to make sure we recognize the staff here from Senator Ben Ray Lujan's office as well. And thank you, representatives from Anaya's office as well, Senator Pope being here. Well, I got to backtrack a little bit and also congratulate and thank the folks who actually made this happen. Right, so our own city project manager, Stacy Herrera, and his team, they were here day in, day out, checking on this project, making sure it happened. These are the folks that do the construction, right? Formative architecture. You helped us with the design and how we do this. That is not my space or area, right? I can tell you about clinical spaces and what they should look like and how we do trauma-informed, but they did that too. And then, of course, our construction company, Bruce Martin Construction. Without these folks, my thanks, like this doesn't happen, right? And then lastly, our partnership with Pallet. I can recall having some meetings at the coffee house early on saying, if we were to go the pallet route, how could we do this, right? And innovatively, looking at nation models. Now, pallets have been used a lot for sheltering, but we took it a step further to really look at innovation and how can we do recovery housing. And that's where the real conversation happened with Pallet and others saying, have we used a model like this in which we are looking at recovery housing? Now let me back up to why that is so important. Breaking stigma around addiction is hard, right? I think there are certain things that are tolerated in this community when we hear someone says, hey, I have a family member with diabetes. I have a family member living with cancer. And nobody questions the fact that if you treat cancer and you have a recurrence, you need another treatment. But in the world of addiction, sadly, it's not viewed that way. There's a stigma, and there's people saying, well, you should just quit. And the blame and the onus is on them. And I'm here today to really say the stigma and what this project is about is reemphasizing that it's a disease, it's a chronic disease, and it should be treated as so and respected as so. And we should invest in those services for our community to be able to do that. And that really is what this represents. It's not just about saying it's another shelter. And I'll have to say that everyone that's been mentioned or either spoke up here currently are leaders who have put people before politics. This is what happens when you come together and folks are aligned on why this is needed, what service gap it's going to fill, and ultimately who it's going to help. And so this is the excitement. And again, I'm humbled because the work that I'm tasked to do is really build a continuum of care. Understanding that folks are going to ebb and flow as you're going through your life cycle to get treatment. Medical sobering is one vital service for the first point. Going into detox, that's a huge step for a person to make that commitment to. But what happens when you get out? Do we just walk away and say, you're done, you should be fine? That's not the case. The reality is you need that next step of help. This is that next step. Because if you go back to the environment that unfortunately influences you to have a recurrence in your disease, then you're set up for failure right off the bat. And those were the systems that don't exist in our community that this really represents today. Effective treatment goes beyond just short-term detox, and I can say that again, or isolated interventions. It's about sustainable recovery. And what we know, and what the city really worked hard to do, did this report. We did a recovery housing. Everything around this was evidence-based. We understand the need in our community, how many units we have available, and what the gap was. We drove that to move this project. I appreciate Senator Amali, her and I sitting down and saying how we make this actually a project that can do it, and we teased that out. And then the fight began to say, where do we find the funding? This is opioid dollars, settlement dollars being put back for people. We prioritize that. The county jumped on board saying, yes, we're in, how do we help? That's the unification that happens when we put people before politics and we make things happen. State level, federal level. And we appreciate that because in this time, with this national current that we're in, this is the leadership we need to continue to focus on for our own community because we have to take care of ours. So that's hugely important. So I want to say, you know, cities that are going to be embracing recovery infrastructures are basically new to this nation. SAMHSA has come out and said, if you don't have recovery housing as part of your housing strategy, you're failing. HUD has said the same thing. We knew this, and when I stepped in as director, I said, how do we prioritize it? We need more of it. And this, in a short amount of time, was built, produced. We have an operator on board. We had the support of the counselor in the area, and we built it. So now our job is to move forward to get the folks in here as quickly as possible, because there's urgency in our community, and we're seeing that. And that is so important for people to know, what's my next step? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I've seen individuals who are incarcerated, and when they come to the term of end, and I've worked with those clients, say, I'm afraid to go back home to my environment because I feel I'm going to get right back into that cycle of what's around me. So how do we give you 18 to 24 months of sober living, wraparound services, and the care and support you need to be successful? That's what this community really reflects. Of course, I talk about our study did identify that this is really a public safety measure to really help reduce homelessness. Having stronger community members who are going to give back and contribute economically, right? If you can heal, then you can go on to be a very strong community member, back integrated, and you stay here and you don't have to leave your environment, which is often 2 times what we have to do when we send folks to other states to get the service they have because we don't have them here. And then lastly, I just want to reiterate that these homes are rooted in community. And why I say that is that it's challenging, as Senator O'Malley said, to get more of these in other areas because not everybody wants one of these in their community, right? So this was our first step to break down that door and try. And we hope that there'll be continued energy to say if this works and we need more, that we can have the same rally to say, then let's get it done, right? And I know it's challenging. It's challenging around where do we put it, the placement, but I don't think anyone argued the fact that it was a needed service, and I appreciate that. So ultimately, the goal here, healing for folks, begins when communities replace stigma with support. That's this project, and that's what it is. So I look forward to being able to walk you through and give you the mechanics, how many units, what units they have. We'll do some tours, and I can break down the numbers. But ultimately, again, I just want to thank everyone who contributed to making sure that this happened, down to the staff who were here day and night getting this thing built. I remember when we broke dirt here, and we were like, wow, really, was that an event? It was. It was when we put those shovels in the ground, because now look what we have. And this is going to be the next step to helping individuals. And moving forward, taking referrals really quickly to start vetting them to be in here. So again, my appreciation to all my own staff that's here that helped us to get this done, my deputies, I appreciate it. It takes a lot for projects like this to get off the ground, to manage the budgets, to make sure we stay on them. And everything is costing more every day, so it's really hard to sometimes keep those under budget. But again, appreciation for the partnership with PALP to be innovative like this. We're doing our part. We appreciate it. And now, more importantly, I want to pivot over to, I believe, the folks who actually have come from the arena. Or back to the mayor, sorry, and then we'll go from there. Mayor, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Gilbert. So we do, we're going to hear from Endeavors and Pallet Shelters. We've got a few more speakers, but without a doubt, the most important voices that actually we want to take a minute to listen to and reflect on are from folks with lived experience. And so I think Donald and Jen, you're here, Donald, Jen, Hume, come on up, yeah, and share your story.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Donald Hume. I am a person in long-term recovery, which means that I have not taken a drink or a drug in over 32 years. And I am absolutely a huge advocate for recovery homes and recovery communities. When I came into recovery, I had been homeless for multiple years, and I moved into my parents' house. And I'm one of the lucky ones, because we didn't have recovery homes like this when I came into recovery. And so to see something like this pop up, knowing that we do have recovery homes in Albuquerque, the problem is that they come out of treatment, they go to a recovery home, they immediately need to start working, so that they could pay their way. And so many of us, when we come off the street, a lot of times we hadn't worked in years. And so the ability to come to a place like this and be supported by people that are doing the same thing that we're doing, and know that I have an opportunity to start to learn how to become a member of this community and become a member of Bernalillo County and Albuquerque, you know, and become an important member of this city, because then we can start to do the work that needs to be done. You know, we become valued people because we start to get jobs. We're no longer filling the jails up. We're no longer hurting our family members. We're able to find a place where we are safe. You know, Senator O'Malley said it, you know, so often when we come off the street, we don't feel safe, you know, when we're out there. We need a place where we can lay our heads down and know that we're in a safe place. I remember when I moved back into my parents' house, one time my mom was looking for me, and I was in the closet. And I was sleeping in the closet because I was so used to sleeping in doorways where I could have walls on either side of me so that I knew that nobody would walk up behind me. So to have a place where I can lay my head down and know that nobody's gonna walk up on me and hurt me is huge. Recovery can happen then, because I get to focus on the things that I need to improve my quality of life. And the help that we receive from places like this are unbelievable. So thank you so much for building a place like this where we can all start to thrive in our recovery and in our lives. You know, this is going to be a great opportunity as well for people in recovery to come and guide other people and show them what can happen as a result of recovery. So I thank you all. I thank you for the support and everything that you've done to make this happen. And with that, I'm going to give it to Jen. Jen is a dear friend of mine.
Hello, I'm Jen Baca. I have 2 years of recovery. I have been in and out of recovery for about 10 to 15 years now, and I am currently in sober living, and the importance of sober living has been so strong in my life. If I did not have sober living from when I was out on the streets and I didn't know where to turn or where to go, where to live, I would still be out there or I would be dead by now. I am very involved in the recovery community now. I have been in a few different sober living homes, but without the accountability of sober living and having a place, a safe place to go, I don't know where I would be myself. I also have a daughter that is out on the streets. She's abusing drugs. Currently she's in jail, and a place like this, like just to hear about what's going on and that there's hope out there for people with dual diagnosis, with substance use and mental illness. There's such a great demand. I know that when I first came back to recovery, I was lost. I didn't know where to go, how to start. Luckily, I had family members that were willing to help me get into a sober living and help me pay rent until I could get back on my feet and start working and be a functional member of society. But I just came, thank you, Donald, for inviting me, but to advocate the importance of sober living for people that are struggling and need that extra support till they can be on their own and be productive. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen and Donald. Our last two folks we want to hear from are part of either running this or putting it together. And we want to begin with sort of the future, and then we'll talk about the past, meaning that Endeavors is the company that's going to actually run this facility, a nonprofit that is going to actually sort of make sure that we are taking care of everyone here in a safe and appropriate way. So I think from Endeavors we've got Nancy and Dennison, or do you? Okay, come on up. Yeah.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I first want to thank and welcome you all to this historic event. My name is Dennison Charlie, the Endeavors Program Manager for the Gateway Recovery Center. Endeavors is a national service organization that serves vulnerable people in crisis, including veterans and their families, people experiencing homelessness, adults with disabilities, victims of disaster, and many more. Founded in 1969 in the basement of a church, our mission of restoring the quality of life of survivors of crisis is fueled by humanity and gratitude. It is an honor to have the opportunity to serve across the nation, as we look forward to supporting the city of Albuquerque's efforts to provide behavioral recovery services, secure employment, and stability housing for those in need. By encouraging confidence in our clients and ensuring that they have the tools to maintain a new life, we aim to support the longevity and safety and stability lifestyles. In the past decade, there has been a record rate of people experiencing homelessness across the country. According to HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, over 771,000 people experience homelessness in a single night in the United States. With over 55 years of experience assisting communities in crisis, we are equipped to provide comprehensive and compassionate case management services to have successful restored the quality of life for many clients. As a nonprofit driven by innovation, our tool for success and strategies for stability over ever-changing based on the needs of every community we serve and the feedback we receive from the clients. Based on the goals of the Albuquerque community, we will be providing recovery-focused services and comprehensive support aimed at fostering housing stability, recovery, and overall well-being of each client. We hit the ground running and have made several connections with community providers. These providers will be the source of our first referrals. Referrals will be made available directly to providers on Monday, and we look forward to welcoming clients and supporting their recovery journey and housing stability. On behalf of Endeavors and I, we would like to thank you all again, and we look forward to collaborating and embarking a prosperous future with the city of Albuquerque and the community. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dennison. Thank you so much. So our last speaker is on her way. I think she's very close, but oh no, she's here. Okay. So we're fortunate to have Amy here with us, and I just want to tell you a story about pallet homes. You know, as I mentioned, Senator O'Malley, when she was chief of staff, she mentioned pallet homes, and I'd kind of heard about them. They're around the country, and they talk to mayors and things like this. But here's what's amazing. I called other mayors, and I said, what do you think of these pallet home folks? And they all said the same thing, which is they're extremely easy to work with. And you rarely hear that, actually, about anyone, let alone mayors talking about vendors. So let's bring up the CEO of Pallet Shelter, Amy King.
Well, thank you. I'm very, very glad to hear that. That's wonderful. So good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Amy King, and I am the founder and CEO of Pallet. I'm grateful to hear that folks are working with our staff well and enjoying that experience When I started this company almost 10 years ago now, my intent was actually to create jobs for people in my community who were recovering from addiction, coming out of the justice system, and exiting homelessness. Today, more than 80% of Pallet's staff have that experience. They make living wages and are taught and trained in the manufacturing and construction trades with the intent of building a more robust construction workforce across the country. The byproduct of that mission, which is my heart and soul, are the shelters that you see around you in this community today. This is our 137th community in 120 different cities and 31 states across the U.S. In 2017, we had one site in Tacoma, Washington, serving folks that were recovering from addiction and exiting homelessness. And so it is a great honor and privilege and joy for me to come to these places and to meet communities who are willing to serve those that are struggling on your streets and coming out of your addiction programs. Recovery is possible. I have seen it over and over and over again with hundreds of thousands of people across this country. I've had the privilege of talking to people who used to shoot heroin in their car, and today they own their own construction company and have children and are family members and productive members of society. People who are exiting the justice system, who have felt lost and alone and have a community of support and are able to reintegrate and move on with their lives. Recovery is possible, it happens every day, and I'm so grateful that you guys are willing to embrace those in your community who need that support. So thank you for doing this. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mayor. All the elected officials and staff who really put in the effort. We know this isn't easy. Doing things that are innovative and new, especially as a city, are incredibly hard, and not everybody wants to see new things done. And so thank you for your courage and your tenacity to get this done. We were grateful to be your partners. We will continue to be your partners in this work, and we're happy to seed future best practices and plans. We're excited to partner with endeavors going forward. So thank you so much for having me again, and most of all, thank you for embracing these members of your community, and I'm excited to see what they will contribute to your community in the future.
Okay, so with that, here's what we're going to do. I know if there's questions, et cetera, we're going to do that after. What we want to do is showcase the actual facilities. So we have 3 stops on our tour, and if you're interested, you're welcome to wander, or you can go to each stop, and we have folks who will tell you about it. But Connor, I think, why don't you guide the media at least on where they're going to start with I know, Pallet and some others.
So for the first tour, we'll gather right behind me and we'll start right here. And then for everyone else, again, this is for media and anyone who feels comfortable being on that same tour. And so this will be with Mayor and Director Ramirez. For everyone else, there will be a tour immediately following. We'll be staggered a little bit, so about 5-10 minutes later. And that'll be led by Jennifer McDonald, who's in the back right now.